One of my favorite illustrations in Scripture about how the enemy speaks to us and how we need to be attentive to that actually comes from this story where Jesus encounters a man who is possessed by a legion of demons. So that when Jesus asks him, "What is your name?" the man's not even able to say who he is. The demons actually speak through him, and they say, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And of course, that story is very dramatic. You know, here's a guy who's running around naked, cutting himself with stones, and howling in the graveyard, which I don't know many people who are exactly enacting those behaviors in their daily life. But what I think is very similar about us and that demoniac that we read about in Scripture is that the man was hearing so many different voices, all these voices that were pulling him in different directions, all these voices that were competing for his attention, just voices, voices, voices. So many, a whole legion of voices, that he wasn't even able to articulate his own name anymore. I honestly think in a strange way that that's where we are as a culture, especially given our sort of oversaturation with media at this point. You know, I'm on Twitter, I email, all these kinds of things. I'm not saying you need to unplug, but I will say at this point, there are so many different inputs in my life. When I'm constantly checking the Twitter feed, if you're checking your Facebook status every 5 seconds, looking for an email, there honestly isn't enough quiet space in many of our lives to then ever be able to hear the voice of God. Because even when we have that sense that we really need to be with God and hear from Him in some way, we're always looking for the quick fix of one of those other voices that are more familiar. So I often think at this point, we listen to so many voices, we have so many different inputs that are competing for our attention, that if someone were to really ask us, "What is your name?" which is not, by the way, like a Facebook status update or a profile where you're saying what you like to do. I mean, we know the things that we like to do. Hi, my name's Jonathan. I like Jay-Z or Michael W. Smith. I like to go fishing or hunting or whatever. But the question of who you are, what is your name, is a very different question. We can say, here are the things that I'm interested in. We can say, here's our hobbies, whatever. But I think oftentimes if the Lord were to come to us and ask us, what is your name, we really wouldn't know how to answer that, because at this point our lives are so overexposed to different media that's always trying to tell us who we are, all these other voices in our lives that are trying to define us in ways that are quite different from God's voice, to a point to where there's an identity crisis, and we honestly have not had the time or space to allow God to tell us who we are and allow Him to speak into our identity as sons and daughters.